For those of you viewing on the YouTubes, the recipe will be provided for you to look at. Okay, choux pastry. The basic definitions of choux pastry is light and crispy and hollow on the inside. Okay? Sugar is an optional ingredient. You don't need to add sugar. What sugar does, it gives it a little bit of sweetness and allows it to brown a little bit quicker. Okay? You can also swap the water for milk and use milk instead of water. What that does is it makes it a little bit more tender, gives it a bit more color, but it doesn't go as crispy. You can also go half water, half milk and get the best of both worlds. Okay? So basic way of combining all the ingredients, it's one of those recipes where you have to be specific. You can't mess around with it. Okay? So you need to be very careful how you combine the ingredients and how you cook it. Okay? The thing about choux pastries is called a twice cooked batter. Okay? Which means it's cooked twice. Once on the stove to combine the ingredients, and then obviously a second time in the oven. Okay? Into your pot, flour, butter, salt, and sugar. Okay? This needs to come to a rolling boil. Not just melted, a complete boil. Okay? The reason for that is to make sure that all the sugar and salt is dissolved. Also make sure that the butter is melted and evenly distributed throughout the water. Okay? If you do not bring it to a rolling boil on a container for a few days, okay, they will go a bit soft. When you want to reuse them, you just put them back in the oven for a few minutes to re-crisp them up. Okay? You can also freeze them once they're baked. They'll keep for a few weeks in the freezer in there. Okay? When you heat it up, it starts to absorb up to 40 times its weight. Okay? With water, and they swell. Okay? And that's the whole purpose of it. So, we brought this to a rolling boil, take it off the heat, and you add all your flour in one shot. Okay? And you mix it nicely with a wooden spoon. Okay? There mustn't be any lumps. You must get it completely mixed really, really well. Okay? It's going to be quite a sticky dough at this stage. And then we need to dry it out to make it less sticky. Okay? The thing about choux pastry is it's almost a mixture between a batter and a dough. It's almost halfway in between. Okay? What is the big difference between a batter? It's quite sticky and it's very wet. Okay? So we need to dry this out now. Okay, on the stove. This is one of the very important steps of choux pastry. Okay, you need to dry it out, but you mustn't over dry it. Okay, at this stage, it's actually preferable to undercook it than overcook it. If you overcook it, there's no saving it. Okay, so you need to be very careful at this stage. With a small batch like this, your recipe is obviously for a very big batch that I've given you. This is a 1/6 recipe that we're making, so it's going to dry very, very quickly. If it's a big batch, it's obviously going to take a lot longer to dry because there's more. Okay? So the purpose now, on a very low, or not low heat, but a medium heat, you stir it. Don't just let it sit, or it's going to burn on the bottom. Okay? Pastry is a labour of love. It takes a lot of effort to make this stuff. Stove, it's worth it. The second critical stage is adding the eggs. You need to be very, very careful when you add eggs. You can't add too much. So the recipe that I've given you there says 18 to 20 eggs. Okay? When I've broken this down, it's roughly 3 eggs. We may need all 3 eggs, we may not need all 3 eggs. We may need more than 3 eggs. Okay? It just depends on how well it gets dried out on the stove. Okay? And then I'll show you how to test whether you've added enough moisture back into the dough to have it burning a little bit on the sides. Okay? It's not sticking to the spoon at all. Okay? And it forms into a nice, big batch. Okay? I suggest you use a mixer with a paddle attachment. Not a whisk attachment, a paddle attachment. Okay? What you need to do before you start adding your eggs, because this is very, very hot, give this a bit of a stir first before you start adding eggs back to it. So otherwise, you're going to cook the eggs too much. You're going to eggs. Don't break all your eggs into one bowl, especially when you're using a lot of them, because you may come across a rotten egg. And if you've broken 3 eggs into a bowl and you put the 4th one in, it's rotten. You've now lost 3 eggs. So break them one at a time into a bowl, and then add it into the dough. Okay? So now in with your first egg. Okay, and you start mixing. How do we know? You guys have read the recipe already. How do we test to see if we've added enough egg to this? How do we test? You can look at your recipe. Okay, and it has a tendency to dry out and burn. Okay, so you need to make sure that you introduce steam into the oven when you bake it. Okay, to do that, make sure your oven's nice and hot at about 200 degrees Celsius. Make sure that the fan is on and make sure that both elements are on. The top and the bottom element are on. Okay? As soon as you put your choux pastry into the oven, you throw 1 or 2 ice blocks right onto the bottom the oven. Okay, and close the door quickly. So it can create a lot of steam inside the oven. Okay, now what does the steam do? What's the purpose of the steam in the oven? Creates, but more importantly, what does the steam help do? Helps to transfer heat quickly to the pastry. Okay, that's the whole purpose. You need to get this baking quickly. So by introducing steam into the oven, you start cooking it almost immediately. Okay, because the steam helps to transfer heat. Air is a very bad, poor conductor of heat, whereas water is a very good conductor. So it's just a little. You guys are going to pop eclairs. Okay, you guys are going to pop choux. Okay, choux or what you call profiteroles. The proper French term is a choux. S-C-H-O-U-X. Okay, like choux pastry. Okay, it's just a little profiterole. I'll show you guys how to pop that now. What I'm doing with my other guys, which I'll show you as well, just so you know, but you're not going to do it today. Popping bag. You guys all know how to make a paper popping bag of paper. Fill it with a bit of choux pastry, and we pop the neck and the head. Okay, onto silicone mats, and we bake that off first. Okay, so this is going to become the head of the swan. Okay, now we need to pop the body of the swan. Now, can I have your choux pastry, please? Okay, thank you very much. Fill your popping bag up. Okay, basically there's two ways of doing it. Okay, I'll show you guys how to pop it. So let me show you an eclair first. Okay, with an eclair, you need to keep your popping bag at a 30-degree angle. Okay, to the thing. You can see here we've drawn lines on the tray. You don't want to put them too close to each other because they expand. But you keep your popping bag at a 30-degree angle. Okay, look over it. Come close so you guys can see. Okay, 30-degree angle. You start popping. Now you press, and when it starts to fatten up, you pull backwards. Okay? Take your time and do it slowly. Okay? And you finish it off. Okay? Choux pastry gets an egg wash. You get me a baking tray with baking paper because this needs to stick to the bottom. Okay, so they actually stick quite heavily to the bottom. The reason why I've got butter and flour so we can get them off. If you do it on baking paper, they don't come out as nice. Okay, the shape doesn't hold as much. It needs to stick to the bottom of the pan, so the bottom holds its shape and the top can expand. Okay? You know it's done when the top and the bottom is caramelized and the sides should be a little bit lighter. And it'll obviously sound hollow. This one's a little bit soft, but you can sound as hollow. Okay? The final thing you need to be careful of when you're baking choux pastry is do not open the oven door. Okay? You put it in, you throw 2 ice blocks on the bottom. You close the oven door and you leave it. Okay? Then with the baking, there are 2 stages to the baking. The first stage is to heat up the dough. The water inside turns to steam, which makes it puff out. Okay? The second stage, you need to dry the dough out. Dry the pastry out so it's nice and crispy. Okay? To do that, you need to turn the oven temperature down. So after about the first 6 or 7 minutes, once you've seen they've puffed up nicely, you turn your oven temperature down to about 150. And you let them dry out completely. Do not open the oven door to check, look through the glass. That's why oven doors are made of glass. So rather than holding your piping bag at a 30-degree angle, it needs to be completely vertical. Okay? You keep your nozzle just off the surface. Okay? You do not pump like this to get it round. You're gonna make a dog poo. Okay? You put your nozzle down and you apply pressure. You let the pastry come out, it'll expand a little bit, and then it'll start to fill itself up. When it starts to fill itself up, you gently raise the nozzle until you get to the right size, and then you pull the nozzle out. Okay, so if you look carefully, okay, press. Okay, see how it starts to fill itself up now? Lift it up slowly. Okay. Okay, you finish it off. And again, egg wash. And you pull it this way. Okay, to make your body. Do not pipe these too close to each other because they expand a lot on top. Get nice and fat. And you pull it forward. Okay. Okay. The front end needs to be a bit thinner and a bit lower than the back. The back needs to actually puff up more, and we'll see why later when we cut it to make the wings. Okay? That's that. Go!